Our Cowboys reporter Garrett Podell offering us thoughts here on the tail end of what is celebration once again from Jerry's world. Odd to say on a day when those playoff hopes are ultimately dashed, but talk to me about Jerry and the relationship that you witnessed post-game with Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, Joe, great to join you post-game here. And yeah, very happy post-game locker room, which was very different from when Mike McCarthy and Jerry Jones spoke earlier in the day today after the Commanders knocked off the Eagles to officially eliminate the Cowboys. The two of them met, and Jerry told me after the game, look, this was like both of us had experienced a loss in our life, meaning it felt like somebody had died when they spoke after this game, talking about, well, what's next? The postseason is no longer an option. But you have to, I think, give credit to Mike McCarthy and this team for fighting. Jerry certainly did. He said Mike has them playing and thinking they're in the Super Bowl every time they go out and play. So Jerry was effusive in his praise of Mike McCarthy, and he even took blame. Now, this is notable. He took blame for them not being in the playoffs. He said, look, when you are in the playoffs or not in the playoffs, it's not just because of one person. And, you know, for years, Jerry's cycled through coaches. He's the all-time general manager. But for him to come out and say that, I think that could maybe bode well for Mike McCarthy's future.
Yeah, we don't want to read too far into the tea leaves. Jerry's going to make his ultimate decision when the time comes. But when you look at what this franchise was a year ago, what the roster then became or did not become, perhaps it's a head coach that was not given all the tools to succeed, but he's doing the most he can with it right now. Can you speak to something between the lines, those tea leaves, what you're reading right now, McCarthy's ultimate health of his coaching job moving forward in Dallas?
I think it took a big stock up today. You were talking about, limited depth here on this team. Jerry said it himself. He said Mike had a limited depth this year, and part of that was because of the injuries. I mean, Dak Prescott, he's up in the press box up here, or in the coach's box, drinking Red Bulls and waters, trying to get back. He did walk around pregame without crutches, so he's taking the next progression in his rehab. But I think it says a lot about this team. I asked Duran Bland, who you showed as we were going into this segment, him making the game-winning play. I said, well, what's driving you guys? Why is this team still fighting so hard, even though the playoffs are no longer an option? And he said that's the heart of this team. So I think when you hear things like that, and cornerback Jordan Lewis, who had the jump ball interception on a 46-yard pass to Baker Mayfield, he said, look, I'm not here for tanking. Jordan Lewis had an elbow brace on today. He played through an elbow injury, and he is set to be a free agent this offseason. So somebody like that who had to wear an elbow brace just to play today and was questionable, free agent, you'd think, all right, I'm going to tap out, no playoffs. That's not the vibe in this locker room at all. Also, speaking to CeeDee Lamb, and he said, look, I'm just trying to keep my shoulder attached to my body. You saw him hit the ground after his 52-yard catch, leave. In the press box up here, the PA announcer said he is questionable to return. And almost as the second after that sentence left the PA announcer's mouth, he was back in the game catching a 10-yard pass that was initially a touchdown and then ruled down as a 1. So I think everything you're seeing about this Cowboys team, they're still fighting for Mike. And I think, we can't read too far into it, but I think tonight was a big boost for Mike McCarthy's future here in Dallas.
Yeah, they are all finding their why, no matter what the circumstance is. And they're playing for their head coach. Speaks to what that man has done in what we don't see. We always appreciate you taking us into the wings of Jerry's world and giving us a picture of things that we don't often see. But we all got to see this defense perform on this day. You allude to it a little bit there. Just hours after knowing that their playoff hopes are now at 0, they get that sort of defensive effort. Everybody playing for the man next to them, yes, but was this the most comprehensive effort you've seen from this defense this season?
I would have to say so, just because of the opponent they played, right? I mean, they played the Washington Commanders in Washington. They gave up a little more points in that game. I mean, this game, multiple takeaways via efforts between Bland and Lewis. This wasn't just running in front of a ball that was thrown at their chest. These were guys ripping the ball away, fighting for the football, and showing an intensity that you probably would think if you covered up their record, they were really fighting for something, but no, they were fighting to play spoiler. When I spoke to Micah Parsons after this game, he said, look, we enjoy kind of being the spoiler and ruining people's day. I mean, that's what they're playing for. But he also said, look, we're playing for the brotherhood. He said the players in this locker room, coaches in this locker room. He said, we want to keep this team together. Now, Micah Parsons, he's in his 4th NFL season. He recorded his 50th sack tonight, which put him in an elite 6-man club of guys to do that. Guys like Reggie White, J.J. Watt, White Freeney, Derek Thomas, you know, a who's who of pass rushers in terms of their sack production through their first 4 seasons. And he said to me, look, we're fighting to keep this brotherhood together. And he said, I know in my first 3 years, because he was drafted 12th overall in 2021, that he'd only experienced 12-5, 12-5, 12-5. So all he's known is winning. But he said, I think if the coaches stay together, the players stay together entering next season, they could really build off this and have some momentum. Because he said, look, if we started 0-2 next year, we can all look around and say, that's not a problem. We were on a 5-game losing streak, and now they've won 4 of their last 5. So this is a team that's taking a lot of pros out of a situation that is pretty con-filled when you look at their 7 and 8 and out of the postseason picture. But that's not how they're looking at it. They're looking at it as we're building towards next year.
Inspired stuff from this group and great reporting always from Garrett Podell. Garrett, happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays, Joe.
All right, look at those Parsons numbers that he alluded to. Unbelievable. This young man who's due for some money. Jerry's got a full desk. Let's just call it how it is. He's got decisions to make. Coach, he's locked up the quarterback. He's locked up the star receiver, the edge rusher. He's got to get broken off, too. 61 games to his 50th career sack.